What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. 3 game weeks left. We've got 2 double game weeks, and today we're having a look at game week 36 and my team selection. What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here, and today it is game week 36, double game week 36 for Brighton and for Newcastle as well. We are having a look at my team selection. Of course, Newcastle doubling against Leeds, and then Brighton with Brighton doubling away at Arsenal and away at Newcastle as well. Before we dive into the video, please make sure you smash that like button. Please make sure you've subscribed to the channel as well. And now let's have a look at how I got on in game week 35 very quickly. So 35 points in game week 35 gave me a red arrow from 214th down to 264th in the world. It gave me a 50 place red arrow exactly. It moved my overall points up to 2,459 as well. It was an okay game week and things didn't really go my way, but to get a small red arrow in a game week that things didn't really go your way is absolutely fine. I did make the wrong choice in a few of my benchings, but luckily the swings weren't that big. So Edison outscored by Kepa by just 1 point. Trippier scoring 1. I then decided to play Luke Shaw over him. Luke Shaw getting 2 and Ollie Watkins getting 1, whereas Dominic Solanke on my bench scored 2 points as well. Solly March, the big talking point that we have here, looks like he's going to be out. I'm recording before the Brighton press conference, which does take place on Friday, but it does look like Solly March is going to be out for game week 36. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get an update that Solly March is going to be out for the season as well. So I have 2 free transfers and a little bit of money in the bank, so I will have to be selling him. Haaland, captaincy blank. How he didn't get anything, it was just at half time, the amount of chances he was missing, you just knew that he was going to blank. And then when he handed that penalty over for Gundogan to miss, you knew that it wasn't the day for Haaland captain. Congratulations if you went on the likes of Mo Salah or maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold or even Harry Kane. But to be honest, there were so few returns this week that even the differential captains outside of Salah didn't really do that well. Brighton are a bit of a concern. Mitoma did pick up an assist, but it was a heavy defeat. Estupiñán picking up 0, and if you own Jason Steele as well, you did get an own goal. So let me know how you got on this week. Was it a red arrow? Was it a green arrow as well? We're moving on to game week 36, and it's an okay for a red arrow this week, but we need a green this double. So I have actually confirmed one of my transfers, and it's a very obvious move, and it's a move that's being made all over the community, all over Twitter, all over YouTube, I am sure, by Solly March owners. I expect Solly March to be out for the season, and even if he's back for game week 36 by some miracle, cannot see him playing both, given that have been those ongoing fitness concerns. So I've sold Solly March with one of my free transfers to go and buy Alexis McAllister of Brighton as well. Alexis McAllister's positioning isn't that great. He does drift into the box sometimes, as we saw this goal against Everton. He is on penalties, as we saw in game week 34 as well. So I'm quite happy having him between now and the remainder of the season. I did just want to play the fixtures a little bit. So of course Brighton have a double in game week 36, a double in game week 37, then playing game week 38 as well. Looking at all the midfielders that I could afford to go from March, basically the only other place I could have gone was a Newcastle option, but of course I have double Newcastle defence and I want to bring in a Newcastle forward as well, so that didn't really work. And basically all the other midfielders that I could have brought here, none of them had a double game week, because the Chelsea assets, the Manchester United assets and the Manchester City assets that I could bring into my team that double in game week 37, none of them are this cheap. So it just made sense to go sideways. March to McAllister transfer has been confirmed. And then we do have a second transfer that I'm planning on making in game week 36. So that will be my second free transfer. After that McAllister move, I have about 0.2 million left in the bank. And I am planning, though, on downgrading Ollie Watkins to one of the Newcastle forwards. Now, I was going to do a nice fancy graphic on the minutes Wilson plays, his XG, his XA, Isak's XG, Isak's XA, etc., when they start. But basically, it comes down to how many minutes you think they're going to play. So that's why I haven't done it. And I'm just going to talk around it a little bit. Wilson, for me, if they were going to play the same amount of minutes, and I think it's the same for a lot of us, Wilson, to me, is a better option if they played the same amount of minutes. That is because Wilson looks like a more clinical finisher. He looks like when he gets those chances, he's more likely to finish them. However, Isak, for me, is the one that I expect to play more minutes out of the 2 games. So Wilson, better when he gets the minutes, was Isak more likely to get more minutes over the 2 games. And that basically means, well, what do we do? Because do you pick the player you expect to get more minutes, but maybe doesn't return as many points per each minute played? Or do you go with the player when he's on the pitch you expect to be the highest scoring of the 2? Now, a very boring answer, but basically what it boils down to me is I'm hoping we get early team news going into the Leeds versus Newcastle game, which is the early kickoff. If we get early team news that Wilson starts and Isak is on the bench, then I'll go and buy Callum Wilson. If we get early team news that Isak is starting and Callum Wilson is on the bench, then I will go and buy Alexander Isak, because that is the fixture that I want to target away at Leeds. Then if they get a cameo appearance in the second fixture at home to Brighton, I don't really mind that, because the Leeds fixture for me is the one I'm looking to target. However, we then run the risk of A, we don't get a leak of what's going to happen in that news, or B, we get a leak that both of them are going to start again as they did against Arsenal. If we get no leak or both of them start, I still favour Alexander Isak. If they both start, then I think Isak has a much better chance of them playing in the short turnaround against Brighton in the second half of Game Week 36, so likely to start both. I think Isak has a greater chance, one on the wing, then one maybe centrally, with Wilson dropping out for the second game, with the likes of St Maximin, Joe Linton potentially coming in and filling that wing spot. If we don't get any news, again, I think Isak has a better minutes potential than Callum Wilson is. They may both only start one, but Isak off the bench is still a better asset than Callum Wilson. So it basically depends on how many minutes. Do you think Isak has a decent enough chance of starting both or not? If you think they're both going to start one each, then it is Callum Wilson for me. But as I said, I think Isak has a decent enough chance of enough minutes that makes him the better asset for me. So, looking at my team for Game Week 36 now, after those potential transfers. Now, the McAllister transfer has been confirmed and he's going to get the vice captaincy. At the moment, the captaincy is going to be on Alexander Isak, who has not come in. That will have to wait until my deadline stream on Saturday morning to hopefully get some early news of who's going to start up front for Newcastle and if Isak is going to be starting against Leeds. So that, in terms of my transfers, is fairly self-explanatory. McAllister in and then either Isak or Wilson in. Using my 2 free transfers, I'm not going to go down the route of trying to get both of them for a hit. I don't think it's worth it for me, especially now the McAllister transfer has been made. Then we need to look and decide on some of these benching decisions. And this is the most difficult week we've had for a while in terms of benching decisions. We start in goal. Kepa at home to Nottingham Forest, Ederson away at Everton. Everton and Nottingham Forest suddenly scoring goals in Game Week 35, which doesn't fill me with confidence of either of them. At the moment, it is Kepa that I've gone with. Ederson and Kepa, I expect probably both of them to concede. Ederson and Manchester City might see a bit of rotation in and around their Champions League fixture against Real Madrid, of course. Plus, they're away from home, and Everton still need points if they want to stay in the Premier League. Now, Nottingham Forest do as well. However, Chelsea being at home, Nottingham Forest away record is not great, and I still expect more save points and more bonus points potentially for Kepa. Now, as I say, if they're not going to keep a clean sheet, the bonus aren't there, but I still think the save points are potential. Now, the midfield and the forward line pick themselves. I'm not going to start Solanke, Crystal Palace away. The other 7 pick themselves with McAllister in and then with a Newcastle forward in my lineup as well. However, we are left with a bit of a decision to make in defence. We are starting at the moment all 3 double game week players, and I know potentially that's the wrong thing to do, but my style of play is I target the doubles. I prefer my double game week players, and I'm going to be starting Estupiñán, I'm going to be starting Botman, and I'm going to be starting Kieran Trippier as well, all with their double game weeks. This means that Trent Alexander-Arnold away at Leicester is first on my bench. I just have to pray that Leicester score, and Luke Shaw as well. I have to pray that at least one of Leicester and Wolves score, so at least I get one of those decisions right. I do understand that in each individual game, Trent has a better chance of a clean sheet and attacking returns than Estupiñán maybe does. But with 2 games, you have the potential that something really goes your way, that a clean sheet is there, that he might get some attacking returns over the 2 games or something like that as well. So I am starting all 3 of them. We're going Kepa in goal. Fernandes is in there, Rashford, Salah, Matoma, Haaland, and then new transfer McAllister, and then likely Alexander Isak to lead the line in for Ollie Watkins and to be my captain. Hoping to get a bit of a green arrow from 264th. Trying to get into that top 200 is my aim for this week, but any green arrow would be kindly received. It is going to go down, I think, to basically who you captain and how many points they end up getting. A lot of the teams are very similar at the moment in FPL, so whether it's Isak, Wilson, whether you go Matoma, Trippier, where you put your armband, or even on Erling Haaland. Haaland, I like it to be my captain just because I'm not certain he's going to start against Everton because of that Champions League fixture, which means I am just going to chase the upside of a double game week player. So, long-winded rabble about what I'm planning on doing with my team. I think it's going to line up like this come the deadline. Let's hope Kepa outscores Ederson. That feels like a big call for me this week to go back to the Chelsea goalkeeper. Let me know what you think about my team, my transfers. Are you team Isak? Are you team Wilson? Or are you going with both of them? or even are you trying to go without either of them? Thank you all so much for watching. Put any questions you have about your team in the comment section down below. As always, I answer the questions made in the first hour of every single video, and then plenty of questions after that as well, but you are guaranteed to get your questions answered in the first hour. So make sure you've liked, make sure you've subscribed, and turn on those notifications so you get a reminder when my videos do go live and you can get your questions answered. Good luck in Game Week 36 when it does roll around, and I'll be back again very soon.